Now, moving on to our next panel, these are the disruptors of the industry. If you're looking to get into the fields of entertainment, advertising, media, this panel here, they are disruptors of the industry and have made some career blazing pathways, and I'm happy to introduce them. So first we have Niele Anderson from Fox Soul TV. She's a producer and talent booker for Fox Soul TV. We've got the amazing Paula Boggs, who is a founder, speaker, writer, lawyer, Army veteran, and musician. We've got Jasan Lopez, she's the owner of Lopez Talent Management, and David Mesfin he was the creative director of In Ocean Worldwide. So thank you all for joining us, and welcome to our platform. We're talking about lessons today learned from trying something new, starting your own business, going against the grain, and how that has translated across all aspects of your career. So let's just jump in. You want to go first, David, and tell us, how you got where you're going. I know In Ocean is one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world. So tell us, as a person of color, how you became the creative director for the LA office. I guess it's the US office, and what career advice would you give?
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you for the invitation. I'm quite excited to be part of this amazing panel, and hopefully, at the end, I can give the students some insights and, my own personal experience maybe will inspire you to, look into advertising marketing. So going back, starting from my past, I am originally from Ethiopia, and I came here in the 80s. I won't say exact year, but I did come in the 80s. My dad, at the time in Ethiopia, this is during the communist regime of Ethiopia, used to work in an advertising agency. And that's where I was exposed into this whole idea of creativity and advertising and so forth. And that kind of led me into continuing the path of advertising and design. I was adopted at a young age and brought to the United States, lived with a family in Florida, where I pursued advertising and design at a college there, Flagler College. Eventually, I moved to California to be closer to the Ethiopian community and to be closer to more broader, more inclusive and bigger, was the term I want to use, a diverse group of people, because Florida, where I lived, wasn't as diverse. That was important to me. As such, I ended up going to Cal State Long Beach, where my professor there, his name was, if you want to look him up, an interesting gentleman, Archie Boston. And he was, one of the greatest mentor I would ever have. One of the first African Americans to actually break into advertising in the LA area and work in the industry. Quite an interesting history and past. So it was great to be under him and learn the ropes of advertising within the United States and the past, the history, and so forth. He was able to give me a much broader picture of how to succeed in the industry. The thing you will find about advertising is it's one of those industries where there's a limited amount of people of color, people such as us, African Americans, Africans, you name it, within the United States. And it's been a struggle to change that. And I think, some agencies are starting to look into it. Unfortunately, just about now, this should have been handled quite a long time ago. That said, if you have the passion, the love, and the commitment, nothing can stop you. I'm a very good example. I was not born in the United States, so I had a lot of catching up to do, understanding not only the nature of culture of America, but also putting myself in context of the history of African Americans, what they've done, what they've achieved thus far, giving me the doors to open doors for me to be successful. So I would say, for someone of HBCU student, you have a lot more advantage, and you would bring a lot more to this industry and really change this industry. There are a couple of things I would mention. There's one program called One School, and I'll put it in the chat, that just started recently. It's a free school. If you are interested, I'll highly recommend it. One of the biggest issues in this industry has been a lot of your colleagues that have made it into the advertising agency have taken private schools where they're able to focus within their, advertising design skills, like Miami Art School, Art Center, which are very expensive. I think HBCUs have a much more insightful in the nature of HBCU college, and the people that you have around you and the knowledge that you have is what advertising agency is lacking. But with the balance of One School, which will help you build your portfolio and allow you to kind of show who you are as an individual, what you're bringing to the table other than what's been done before, you would be very successful. Again, I go back, you have to have the passion to get into this industry and compete and be successful. So I'm honored to be part of this panel, and I really want to inspire you, those of you who've considered advertising and marketing, to really pursue it and make an impact. Now's the time. There's a lot of people that want to hire, but the right people are not around to be hired, and they just don't know where to look. HBCU, in my opinion, would actually offer a lot more in the advertising industry than any other college. I went to Cal State Long Beach. It's pretty broad. It's everything and anything,
Right.
but it didn't help me specifically understand, the African American market, for example. But
Well,
then
that's
again,
why, and sorry to interrupt you, but I definitely wanted to
sure.
say, I like that you just said that, because I know Jasan has some things that she'd like to say about this whole notion of there are, people always say, oh, well, we were looking for, African American talent or HBCU talent, but we can't find any. And Jasan, I'd love for you to kind of speak on that, and tell the students about your career path and how you've secured the bag.
Well,
Sure. So,
you,
oh, go ahead. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
David, thank you for your story. It was inspiring. My heart belongs to Ethiopia. My daughter is 14 and she has your story, adopted when she was 3 months old. So I love this. I love hearing this. Sorry, my phone never stops. I manage 25 people. Um, let me roll back and talk about my career. I spent 25 years on the other side in editorial as a producer, an executive in television news. I started early. I was 18. I was in college when I made a call to CBS and said I need to come on a tour. I am a first gen American. My family came to America in the 50s. I am a direct beneficiary of the civil rights movement, but I'm also first gen American. So I have no one who had been in corporate America. And I knew I wanted to be in television. I wanted to be in television news. So I made a call, CBS, and I said, I need to come take a tour. So there was a method to the madness. I made the cold call because I needed to get into that newsroom and meet somebody. And I went in there, they took me on a tour. The person in charge of the production assistants was African American. He was also very young. He introduced me to the news director, and the news director said to me, when you get out of school, you come back and I'll give you a job. I think he liked the fact that I cold called and just showed up. Um, what he didn't know was I was going to go back to my house and tell my parents that this elderly white man offered me a job when I got out of school, and he may be gone by the time I get out of school because I was 18. And my dad said, I'll think about it overnight. And he said, call him and tell him you're ready to take a job. And I did. So I did both. He said, as long as you finish college, because like any immigrant, college is the ultimate. But I was worried that I would get out of college and not have a job. So I worked and went to school. It was great. I learned news from the ground up. So I tell folks my trajectory is very different from the kids coming out of school right now. I did the traditional entry level, work hard, make it up, climb the ladder in the industry. And I did, and I became an executive. I am watching this now. I think it's a cop out, to get back to your question, for folks to say people are not available. They are available. But what is happening, and what happened in my industry for African American kids, was a lot of them got stopped early. They were stopped by racism, they were stopped by sexism, they were stopped by a lack of opportunity to advance. Now we're seeing a rush where folks are having plenty of opportunities. And for senior level jobs to run news divisions. And it's like you have maybe 10 people to choose from right now, because a lot of folks left the industry and went elsewhere where they could become successful. I am telling kids getting out of school right now, if you I run my own business now. After 25 years in the industry, I pivoted. I manage television news talent, but it's more than news now. I'm spreading them out across all platforms, all genres. But if you're coming into the industry now and you want to be in media, look to new media, look for streaming, look for podcasts, look for alternative platforms. And if you're going to go in an entry level position, go in with the mindset to learn as much as you can. Yes, you're going to contribute, but learn the things you're going to need to know to pivot into ownership and to launching your own business. And I'm going to say this again and again. Everyone sitting out here watching right now has a passion. David is right. Passion will lead to securing the bag. If you're going into this and saying, I just want to make a lot of money, I want to secure the bag, that's not going to work. You have to have the passion. You have to be a doer, get out there and get it done, and learn everything you can from the entry level job that you're going to secure, because what you learn is going to help you when you launch your own business. But get in there, learn, because you're going to be learning and making money. And learning and making money is important right now, as you have your little side hustle that you're going to marry with whatever you're learning in the industry to launch your own business.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you for that, Jacinth. And Paula Boggs, if we can pivot to you, I like that word pivot, Jacinth. If we can pivot to you, I know that you spent many years at Starbucks corporate, and now you do so many things. I didn't know which one to kind of target for like that secure the bag, the ultimate career advice, but would love for you to expound on that and introduce yourself and your career path.
Oh, sure, Tracy. And a shout out to everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you. And yeah, unlike David and Josanne, I am a nine generation American. My family has been in this country. We are not part of the immigrant story. We are part of the progeny of the enslaved story. And I wear that badge proudly. I also want to give a shout out to my HBCU street cred, because going all the way back to the early 1930s, my maternal grandfather attended, he didn't finish, but he attended Morris Brown back in the day. And both my parents are graduates of Howard University. I was literally born on Howard University's campus. So I have HBCU in my DNA. There are a couple of messages I want to leave with you at the outset here. The first is this. This is Act 3 for me. I was in the military. I was a lawyer. Fortune 500 corporate executive for a while. And now I've returned back to the garden, to music and media, which is where I spend 100% of my time. And having that kind of journey has taught me a couple of things. There's some principles about getting a job and keeping it and growing across the military, law, and media. You need advocates, you need mentors, and it doesn't matter whether you are in the military, law, or media. You need champions. So that's one thing. A second thing is expect to fail. We all fail, and so the issue is not whether you fail. You will. I have. but what you do with that failure, how you take the lessons of that failure and capitalize on them for future success. And you know, and the third is this: as a Black woman, I have also many times been the first and the only, and straight up in 2021, there will still be situations, particularly if you're talking about media, where you are still the first or the only. And so, with that in mind, it is so important to, you know, comport yourself in a way that enables those who come after you to stand on your shoulders, because I would not be where I am today without standing on the shoulders of so many who came before me. And so that is, I guess, the third overarching lesson I will leave you with. I touch media in many different ways. I am a creator. I am a performing musician. And we perform all over the United States and Canada. And so I have that perspective, but I'm also a governor on the Recording Academy Pacific Northwest chapter board, so the Grammys. And so with that hat on, my Grammys hat on, I am the Pacific Northwest chapter's diversity, equity, inclusion ambassador on the national level. And so, you know, I see, you know, and from that perspective, you know, if you're interested in music, one of the things that you see all the time is people trying to pigeonhole Black people and saying that, you know, whatever their concept of Black music is Black music. And straight up, that is false, because there would not be American music without the African American experience across the board. And it doesn't really matter whether you're talking about bluegrass or hip hop. Across the board, the African American story informs what that music is. And so don't let someone pigeonhole you. You know, be you, right? And, you know, and find allies who will fuel your ability to be you in this industry, because there are going to be a lot of people who try to pigeonhole you and try to put you in a box. And if you want to be in that box, that's fine. But if you don't want to be in the box, I don't want to be in that box. And what we do is we call it Seattle Brewed Soulgrass, and it is genre defying. And people, you know, try to put us in, oh, well, it's jazz. Well, no, it's not jazz, right? And so I share that with you because there will be people, particularly if you're talking about music, who are going to try to put you in a box. And you create your box, right? And then get allies to support you in that journey that is authentically you.
I love that. You know, in the chat, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. P. McCamey said "preach" with 3 exclamation points. So I think P. McCamey was really inspired when you said, "Don't let anyone put you in a box," and I second that emotion. So just wanted to point that out, and thank you so much for those inspiring words. Moving on to Niele Anderson, who is with Fox Soul TV, and Niele is also representing HBCU. She's representing Grambling here as well. So Niele, hello.
Hey, everybody.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here. First, want to thank George and Tracy just for having the vision to do something like this and to bridge the gap. You know, like I'm thinking of when I was preparing and thinking about this, I was like, well, I might meet somebody that can help me build my social media. You know what I mean? Because we're talking to a generation where when I came up, we didn't have that. You know, right? You know, when I was in the dorm at Grambling, there was a phone and there was no call waiting. So if you had a roommate, you would have to wait to hear from your mother or call your friend. So it's just a totally different world and generation. So like I said, I'm just happy to be here and to hear the stories of the other panelists. some things resonated with me, like, there was talk about lineage. And you can't go to where your future holds if you don't know where your past or where you've been. So I was like, okay, I need to get into my lineage a little more. I know I'm 5 generations out of slavery, and I'm a second generation in Los Angeles, but there's a little more knowledge I need to get. And a couple of other things I heard that stuck out to me was mentors. So important. I mean, you never know 10, 15 years from now, how much a mentor can impart to you or just be there for you when you hit a phase in your life that you need or open the door for you. And Rolodex. When I think about, Rolodex, I know that might be a, old school term, but it's a phone book in your phone. But, with social media right now, it gives false perceptions, but you can have 100,000 followers, but if you have a Rolodex of 5 good, solid people, it'll take you way further than those followers. So build relationships, going back to mentorship and having a strong Rolodex. All of those things are relative to your path. So a little bit about my story. I went to my stepdad was from Bastrop, Louisiana, which is about 30 miles from Grambling. And so he took me there and I found my Blackness, you know what I mean? And that opened the door and the path to the person I truly can say that I am today. And it's to be unapologetically Black and have a passion for my people. So I came back home, I got into to church, and I started liking politics. And so politics was like, okay. And then I was in church. So I was like, Dr. King, he got people to vote and he changed laws and all these things. So there was an organization called Rock the Vote. And so I started volunteering for Rock the Vote. And I had put a proposal together to do voter registration throughout the Black church. This was in the early 2000s. And so maybe less than a week when I gave the president the proposal, she called me. She was a Black woman. Her name is Jamu Green. She's ran to be the chair of the DNC now, big advocate for the Clintons, And so she said, Niel, I was a volunteer. She said, Niel, you'll never believe this. Jada Pickett just called me and told me she wants to do voter registration in the Black churches. Can you handle this? Because your proposal is on my desk. And from there, it opened up the door. I became like the national field coordinator for Rock the Vote at the time. And then I got sent to do voter registration at The Beat, which is when Steve Harvey first was on the radio here in LA. So I'm just doing my voter registration. And this white lady, very nice, Sue Freund, comes up to me. She said, what's your name? What are you doing? What do you do? I said, oh, I do voter registration specifically in the Black shirt. This lady says to me, oh, we just started gospel music. And I need a DJ and somebody with relationships. She had me in her office that same day and offered me the job to do it on Sunday. And my point is saying, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Like these types of things are true. That opened the door for me to have a mentor named Kathy Hughes because she owned a radio station. And to this day, I text with Miss Hughes. She likes my social media posts. And that's what I'm talking about. Relationships, nurture them, keep them, because you never know. And then from there, I got into the Black press. And I started working for the Bakewells, which own Bakewell Media here in LA. And they own the largest Black newspaper, which is affiliated with the NNPA, which is the National Newspapers Publishers Association, which is the Black press. Over 200 institutions known as Black newspaper that have been here since the early 1900s and some before then. So I started working with them, built that relationship. I've been affiliated with Bakewell Media for the past 20 years. And that door opened my opportunity to work at Fox Soul, which is Fox Television. So imagine being unapologetically Black and then having an encounter with Fox. Short fast forward, they wanted to create their first OTT platform. OTT stands for over the top, which is equivalent to Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Roku, your Samsung TV. So all of those, so they started this network, this platform for pop culture, for Black culture and conversation. And I stayed committed to my lane. I wasn't interested in pop culture. I mean, I love pop and I love hip hop, but I'm more interested into how artists take their platform for social justice, for philanthropic endeavors. So if it's that, I'm with you. Now I'll go to a Beyonce concert, but if I want to talk to her, I want to talk to her about Be Good or Bay Good, things like that. So I stayed committed. So about a year ago, James DeBose, who is the founder and the head of programming, said, Niele, we're going to launch our first news show. This is 100% you. This is your lane. It's yours. Work it. I celebrated my first 1-year anniversary, May 11th of this week. Within a year, we've gone from 30 minutes to an hour, and we have won the New York National Black Journalist Association Award for Best News Show.
Niele, that is Grand Fam up in here. That is so amazing, and I'm so inspired. I got to tell you two things. One, we partner with Rock the Vote. HBCU here is partners with Rock the Vote, so I'm glad to know that your legacy and our legacy is kind of combined in that. And then we only have about a couple minutes left, 2 to 3 minutes. So I wanted to start from the beginning and do like 30-second, greatest advice, parting words type things. This was so short, but I wish we had found a longer time, but I remain inspired and humbled by all this great advice. So why don't we start back with you, David, in 30 seconds, and then we'll go in the same order and just kind of do the parting words, and then we'll move to the next panel and with graciousness.
Sounds good. I do want to build on what Paula said about failure. I have found that failure is actually the secret to success. You have to fail to succeed. So do not be afraid, coming out of school, try anything and everything. If you fail, you fail. It's okay. You will get stronger. That's how I've learned. Given, English is my second language, a culture I didn't know anything about, I had to fail every time and pick myself up to succeed. So I would build on that and pass that on to, to the students.
I love that. First of all, thank you everyone who's flooding my IG and my LinkedIn. Come to me. I will pass you on and make sure that you get where you need to be. That is why I'm here. I'm here because I want, if it's just one person to get a job or to be on the path, let's do that. And let rejection be your greatest motivator. I get rejected all day, every day on behalf of my clients, and it makes me stronger. It makes me want to do more. It has always been the greatest motivator for me. And remember your 17, 18, and 19-year-old self. Remember who you are right this second, because as you go through the cycles of life and your career, you're going to have to tap back into this person, because it is the most driven you're ever going to be, and you're going to be so please remember that person you are right now.
Perfect. Paula?
Yeah, I'll leave you guys with two things. And by the way, I'm on LinkedIn too, so just Paula Boggs, shout out. Happy to have the further conversation with anybody on this Zoom. And here are the two things. One is I think we're talking about getting the job, but all of us leave jobs too, and it's really important to leave the right way. The dismount. It's sort of like gymnastics. You can do the most amazing flips and have had this amazing thing, and then you flub the dismount when you leave, and that's what people remember. And so it's really important. Yeah, do the great job, but it's also important how you leave a job, because straight up, you don't want to burn a bridge. You want to be that person who 20 years in the future, if you need to ask somebody for something, that they will, take your call because you didn't burn that bridge. So, I wanted to really say that. And the last thing I want to say is keep learning, be a lifelong student. I feel that way, that there is always something I don't know that I need to know and can know. And hopefully you will navigate, your life in, not just career, but your life that way.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Neil, you have the final last 30 seconds. What's your parting words from the Graham fam to Foxhole TV to this participant base?
I think they said it. David, failure. I've done it several times, but like Donnie McClurkin says, we fall down, but we get up. You know what I'm saying? And youthfulness. I promise you, I can't work as hard as I did when I was 17 and 18. So make smart decisions. And finally, yes, leave on good terms. That's about building your Rolodex and having lifelong relationships. You can follow me at Niele, Niele, LA. I'm always looking for news. I'm always looking for content. And if you just need some information, hit me up.
Thank you so much. This has been such an empowering panel. We appreciate you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us today, and look forward to connecting with you all and the students. Like they said, I know several of them put their links in the chat. I saw Paula did. So make sure that you hit them up. And thank you all again, Paula, Niele, Jasan, and David. We appreciate you.